My mother sent me an invoice for $200 for crashing at her place for 4 days. As if I were some Airbnb guest who overstayed their welcome. I laughed until I cried. Then told her to take it out of the college fund she'd borrowed and never returned. Mia stood in the cramped living room of her childhood home. The air thick with the scent of lavender candles. Her mother, Linda, burned obsessively to mask the staleness of a house that hadn't felt like home in years. The invoice lay on the coffee table between them, a single sheet of paper that might as well have been a landmine. Mia's backpack, still slung over one shoulder, felt heavier than it should, weighed down by more than just her laptop and a change of clothes. She'd come back to this small Ohio town for a funeral. Her high school friend, Sarah, gone too soon in a car accident. 4 days. That's all she'd stayed. And now her mother was charging her for it. You're kidding, right? Mia's voice cracked, caught between disbelief and a rising tide of anger. She gestured at the paper, its neatly typed lines detailing room and board like she was a stranger. You're charging me for sleeping in my old bedroom? For eating leftovers from your fridge? Linda didn't look up from the invoice, her fingers tracing the edges of the paper as if it were a shield. You're not a kid anymore, Mia. You're 22. You have a job. I have bills. Her voice was clipped, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this moment in front of the mirror. But her eyes, those sharp green eyes Mia had inherited, flickered with something else. Guilt maybe. Or shame. Mia couldn't tell anymore. The room felt smaller than it used to, the walls crowded with framed photos of better days. Mia at her 5th birthday, gap-toothed and grinning. Linda and Mia's father before he left when Mia was 8. Mia's high school graduation, where Linda had clapped the loudest but hadn't stuck around for the party. Now those memories felt like props in a play no one believed in anymore. Mia's gaze landed on the invoice again, and her stomach churned. She'd seen plenty of betrayals, but this was a new low. I came here for Sarah's funeral, Mia said, her voice low, dangerous. I came because I needed to say goodbye to someone who actually cared about me. And you're billing me for it. Linda finally met her daughter's eyes, her jaw tight. I'm not a hotel, Mia. I'm not your personal crash pad. You show up, eat my food, use my electricity, and what? I'm supposed to just smile and pay for it. Mia laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that echoed in the quiet room. Oh, that's rich. You want to talk about paying for things? Let's talk about the $15,000 you took from my college fund. The money Grandma left me. The money that was supposed to get me through school. Linda flinched just a fraction, but it was enough. Mia saw it and it fueled her. She stepped closer, her backpack sliding to the floor with a thud. You think I don't know? You think I didn't figure out why my account was empty when I tried to pay for my sophomore year? I had to take out loans, Mom. Loans I'm still paying off. And you're standing here, charging me $50 a night like I'm some freeloader. The silence that followed was deafening. Linda's face paled, her fingers crumpling the edge of the invoice. For a moment Mia thought her mother might apologize, might break down and admit what she'd done. But Linda straightened, her lips pressing into a thin line. That money, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, was for the house. For us. To keep a roof over our heads after your father left. Mia's heart pounded, a mix of rage and something softer, something that hurt more. You didn't ask me, she said. You didn't tell me. You just took it. And now you're charging me to sleep in a room that's still got my old posters on the walls. Linda turned away, busying herself with straightening a photo frame on the mantel. You don't understand what it's like, Mia. Raising you alone. Keeping this place going. I did what I had to do. Mia wanted to scream, to shake her mother until the truth fell out like loose change. Instead, she picked up the invoice, her hands trembling. Fine, she said. You want your $200? Take it out of the college fund you stole. Oh wait, you already spent that, didn't you? The words hung in the air, sharp and final. Linda froze, her hand still on the photo frame. For the first time Mia saw her mother's shoulders slump, Just a little, like the weight of the truth was finally too much. But Mia wasn't done. Not yet. She'd spent years piecing together the story of the missing money. It started with the bank statement she'd found in her freshman year of college, the ones that showed a balance of zero where there should have been thousands. Grandma Ellen, Linda's mother, had set up the fund before she passed. A gift to ensure Mia could go to college without the burden of debt. It was supposed to be untouchable, a trust in Mia's name. But Linda had found a way. A forged signature, a lawyer who didn't ask too many questions, and the money was gone. Mia had confronted her mother about it once 2 years ago, but Linda had brushed it off, claiming it was a misunderstanding. Mia hadn't pushed then. She'd been too tired, too broke, too focused on surviving college with a part-time job and a maxed-out credit card. But now she was done playing nice. "You know what's funny?" Mia said, her voice steady now, cutting through the tension like a knife. "I used to think you were the victim. Poor Linda, abandoned by Dad, stuck with me. I felt guilty for wanting things, for needing things. But you're not the victim here. You made choices. You chose to take what wasn't yours." Linda spun around, her face flushed. "You think it's that simple? You think I wanted to touch that money? I was drowning, Mia. The mortgage, the bills, the car repairs, it never stopped. I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice," Mia shot back. "You could have told me. You could have trusted me. Instead you lied. And now you're charging me to stay in my own home." She laughed again, but there was no humor in it. "You're unbelievable." The room fell silent again, the only sound the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Mia's chest ached, a deep hollow pain that had been there for years but felt sharper now, like a fresh wound. She thought of Sarah, her best friend since middle school, who'd always been there with a laugh or a late-night talk when things got rough. Sarah would have known what to say right now, would have found a way to make Mia smile through the hurt. But Sarah was gone, and Mia was standing here, fighting a battle she'd never wanted to fight. "I'm not paying you," Mia said finally, her voice quiet but firm. "Not a dime. And I'm not leaving until you tell me the truth. All of it." Linda's eyes widened, a flicker of panic crossing her face. "There's nothing to tell," she said, but her voice wavered, betraying her. Mia stepped closer, her gaze locked on her mother's. "Then why can't you look at me? Why can't you say it? Tell me where the money went, Mom. Tell me why I'm drowning in debt, while you're pretending everything's fine." For a moment it seemed like Linda might break. Her lips parted, and her hands clenched at her sides. But then she straightened, her face hardening. "You want the truth?" she said, her voice low and cold. "Fine. I'll tell you. But you're not going to like it." Mia braced herself, her heart pounding. She'd waited years for this moment, for the truth to finally come out. But as Linda started to speak, Mia realized she wasn't ready, not for the truth, not for the pain it would bring. And yet she couldn't walk away. Not now. Not ever. Linda's voice was steady now, almost clinical, as she began. "After your father left, I was alone. No savings, no support. The house was underwater, and the bank was calling every week. I tried to keep it together, Mia, I did. But the money from your grandmother, it was there, and I was desperate." Mia's throat tightened. "So you stole it?" "I borrowed it," Linda snapped, her eyes flashing. "I was going to pay it back. I had a plan. I was going to sell some things, pick up extra shifts at the hospital. But then the roof started leaking, and the car broke down, and it just snowballed." "Snowballed?" Mia's voice rose, incredulous. "You took $15,000, Mom. That's not a snowball. That's an avalanche. And you didn't tell me. You let me think I'd done something wrong, like I'd messed up the account somehow." Linda's face crumpled just for a moment before she caught herself. "I didn't want you to worry. You were in college living your life. I thought I could fix it before you noticed." Mia shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "You didn't fix it. You made it worse. I had to drop a semester because I couldn't pay tuition. I had to beg my boss for extra hours, take out loans with interest rates that'll haunt me for years. And you were here, what? Buying lavender candles and pretending everything was fine. Linda's hands shook as she reached for the photo frame again, her fingers tracing the edges like a lifeline. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, she whispered. I thought I could make it right. Mia wanted to believe her. God, she wanted to. But the years of lies, the half-truths, the invoice sitting on the tablet was too much. You didn't even apologize, she said, her voice breaking. Not once. And now you're charging me to stay here. Like I'm some stranger who owes you. Linda's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. I'm sorry, she said, the words barely audible. I'm sorry, Mia. I didn't know what else to do. Mia stared at her mother, searching for the woman who'd tucked her in at night, who'd cheered at her soccer games, who'd promised her the world. But that woman was gone, replaced by someone Mia barely recognized. Sorry doesn't fix this, she said. Sorry doesn't give me back my future. The clock ticked louder now, each second a reminder of the distance between them. Mia picked up her backpack, slinging it over her shoulder. I'm leaving, she said. But this isn't over. You owe me, Mom. Not just the money, the truth, the respect. And I'm not going to let you pretend this didn't happen. As she walked toward the door, Mia felt the weight of the house pressing down on her, the memories, the betrayal, the love that still lingered despite everything. She didn't know if she'd ever come back. But she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't paying that invoice. Not now, not ever. Mia's footsteps echoed on the hardwood floor as she headed for the front door, each step heavier than the last. The weight of her mother's words clung to her like damp clothes, cold and suffocating. Linda's apology, if it could even be called that, had been a whisper, a half-hearted attempt to bridge a chasm that had grown too wide. Mia's hand rested on the doorknob, her heart pounding with the urge to leave, to escape the house that felt more like a museum of broken promises than a home. But something stopped her. A nagging pull, a flicker of the girl she used to be, the one who believed her mother could still be someone worth fighting for. She turned back, her eyes locking onto Linda, who stood frozen by the mantel, clutching the photo frame like it could anchor her to a version of herself that no longer existed. You don't get to just say sorry and call it a day, Mia said, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. You don't get to rewrite history because you feel bad now. Linda's lips parted, but no words came. Her face was a map of regret, lines etched deeper by years of secrets and justifications. Mia took a step forward, her backpack still slung over one shoulder, grounding her in the reality of her departure. I deserve to know everything, she said. No more lies. No more excuses. Where did the money go? All of it. The silence stretched, taut and fragile. Linda's gaze dropped to the floor, her fingers tightening around the frame until her knuckles whitened. It's not that simple, she murmured. Then make it simple, Mia snapped. You owe me that much. Linda exhaled, a shaky breath that seemed to carry years of buried truths. Fine, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Sit down, Mia. I'll tell you. Mia hesitated, her instincts screaming to walk away, to protect herself from whatever was coming. But she needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. She dropped her backpack to the floor and sat on the edge of the couch, her posture rigid, eyes never leaving her mother. Linda set the photo frame down, her movements deliberate, as if stalling for time. She sat across from Mia, the coffee table and the invoice still between them. After your father left, she began, things fell apart. You were too young to understand, but we were barely scraping by. The hospital cut my hours, the mortgage payments were late, and the bills kept piling up. I tried to keep it from you. I wanted you to have a normal life. Mia's jaw tightened. So you stole my future to pay for it? Linda flinched, but she didn't look away. I didn't see it that way. Not at first. Your grandmother's trust it was sitting there. And I thought I could borrow it just enough to get us through. I planned to pay it back, Mia. I swear I did. How? Mia's voice was sharp, cutting through her mother's words. You were going to magically come up with $15,000? From what? Your part-time nursing shifts. Linda's eyes glistened, but she pressed on. I started selling things. Jewelry, furniture, anything I could. I took a second job cleaning houses. But it wasn't enough. The house needed repairs, the car kept breaking down, and then there was the medical bill when you broke your arm in 10th grade. It all added up. Mia remembered that summer, the pain of the fracture, the way Linda had stayed by her side in the hospital, holding her hand. She'd thought her mother was her rock back then. Now the memory felt tainted like everything else. You could have told me, Mia said. I was old enough to understand. I could have helped. Gotten a job, applied for scholarships. But you didn't give me a chance. Linda's voice broke. I didn't want you to worry. I wanted you to focus on school, on your dreams. I thought I could fix it before you noticed. Mia shook her head, tears burning her eyes. But you didn't fix it. You let me go to college thinking everything was fine. And then I got that letter from the bank. Zero balance. I had to beg the financial aid office to let me stay enrolled. Do you know what that felt like? To be 19 alone, trying to figure out why my own mother lied to me. Linda's hands covered her face, her shoulders shaking. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? Mia's voice rose, raw and unfiltered. You broke me, Mom. You took away my chance to start my life without debt hanging over me. And now you're charging me $200 for staying here? For grieving my best friend in the room where I grew up. The invoice sat on the table, a silent accusation. Mia grabbed it, crumpling it in her fist. This, she said, holding it up. This is who you've become. Someone who puts a price tag on family. Linda's sob broke the silence, a sound so raw it made Mia's chest ache. For a moment she wanted to reach out, to comfort her mother the way she had as a child. But the hurt was too deep, the betrayal too fresh. She dropped the crumpled invoice onto the table and stood. I'm done, Mia said. I'm done pretending this is okay. I'm done letting you make me feel like I owe you something. Linda reached out, her hand trembling. Mia, please. Don't go. We can figure this out. I'll pay you back, I promise. Mia laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Pay me back? With what? You don't have the money, Mom. You never did. That's why we're here. Linda's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. I love you, she said, her voice barely audible. I know I messed up, but I love you. Mia's throat tightened, her own tears threatening to spill. I love you too, she said, the words tasting like ash. But love doesn't fix this. It doesn't make it right. She turned toward the door again, her heart heavy but resolute. As she stepped outside, the cool evening air hit her face, a sharp contrast to the suffocating warmth of the house. The street was quiet, the kind of quiet that amplified every thought, every regret. Mia slung her backpack over her shoulder and started walking, not sure where she was going but knowing she couldn't stay. The next few days were a blur. Mia checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, using the last of her savings to cover the cost. She spent her nights staring at the ceiling, replaying the confrontation with her mother, searching for a way to make sense of it. She thought about Sarah, whose laughter used to fill the silence, whose advice would have been to let it go, but don't forget. Sarah had always been the one to see the good in people, even when they didn't deserve it. Mia wished she could channel that now, but the anger was too raw, the wound too fresh. She called her boss back in Chicago, asking for an extra shift to cover the motel bill. She scrolled through her phone, reading old texts from Sarah, each one a reminder of what she'd lost. And she thought about the college fund, the future it was supposed to secure. Mia had dreams of becoming a graphic designer, of traveling the world, of building a life that was hers. Now those dreams were buried under loan payments and a betrayal she couldn't unsee. A week later, Mia got a text from Linda. It was short, just a few words. "Can we talk?" Mia stared at it for a long time, her thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of her wanted to ignore it, to cut her mother out of her life and move on. But another part, the part that still remembered the woman who'd bandaged her skinned knees and read her bedtime stories, let go. They met at a diner on the outskirts of town, a neutral space where neither could claim home field advantage. Linda looked older than Mia remembered, her eyes rimmed with red, her hands fidgeting with a napkin. "I've been thinking about what you said," Linda began, her voice soft. "And you're right. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth, and I owe you a plan." Mia leaned back in the booth, her arms crossed. "I'm listening." Linda took a deep breath. "I've been talking to a financial advisor. I'm going to sell the house. It's too big for me now, and it's worth more than it was when I took the money. I can use the profit to start paying you back." Mia's eyebrows rose, skepticism warring with hope. "You're serious?" Linda nodded. "I've already contacted a realtor, and I'm picking up extra shifts at the hospital again. It won't happen overnight, but I want to make this right. I want to be the mother you deserve." Mia's chest tightened, a mix of relief and doubt swirling inside her. "Why now?" she asked. "Why not 2 years ago, when I first asked you about the money?" Linda's eyes filled with tears. "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want to admit how badly I'd failed you. But seeing you walk out that door, it woke me up, Mia. I can't lose you." The words hit Mia hard, stirring emotions she tried to bury. She wanted to believe her mother, wanted to trust that this was real. But trust was a fragile thing, and theirs had been broken for too long. "I need time," Mia said finally. "I need to see you mean it. Not just words. Actions." Linda nodded, wiping her eyes. "I know, and I'll prove it. Whatever it takes." They sat in silence for a while, the hum of the diner filling the space between them. Mia didn't know if they could rebuild what they'd lost, but for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a possibility, a chance to start again. As Mia walked back to the motel that evening, the weight on her shoulders felt a little lighter. She thought about Sarah, about the way she'd always pushed Mia to see the bigger picture, to find the good in the mess. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was the start of something new. But the invoice crumpled in her backpack was a reminder of how far they'd fallen. Mia knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Trust, once broken, took time to rebuild. And love, as powerful as it was, couldn't erase the past. But it could light the way forward. What do you think? Was Mia right to confront her mother? Or should she have let it go for the sake of family? Is Linda's promise to make things right enough? Or does justice demand more? Share your thoughts. Where do you stand on this tangled web of family, betrayal, and redemption?